Welcome back to the Rory Talks Football YouTube channel, Rory Talks Arsenal YouTube channel. This is the most BTEC budget setup I've ever used. I wasn't planning on making a video. There may not even be a thumbnail. I don't know how I'm going to... The thumbnail might just be me going... Two bits of news this morning. Odegaard, Saka injury updates, and Arsenal are in for another left centre-back. We'll start with the injury updates. Odegaard, sounds like it's not too bad, not as severe as it could have been. He left the stadium in a sling, but according to Sammy Mokbel, this is where it came from, he should be back. Well, he might be back for Liverpool, but definitely after the international break. Saka, 3 to 4 weeks. So again, not ideal, obviously, but, you know, there was worry that he could have torn it again. Well, the other opposite hamstring. So that would have been a disaster. 3 to 4 weeks, like, again, he's going to miss Liverpool at Anfield. Absolute nightmare. But if we can get him back after the international break, even if it's not, the first game after the international break is Forest at home. Again, you'd want him. The game after that is Man City. That is the one that he definitely has to be back for. So we'll wait and see. In terms of the options, right? This is why we bought Noni Madueke. As much as people complained about it, as much as people wanted us to just blow the entire budget on Alexander Isak and sod the consequences, this is why we've got the depth. Now, you could go Martinelli off the left, Madueke off the right, Nwaneri in for Odegaard. Of course, we've now got Eberechi Eze, so you could go Nwaneri again instead of Odegaard, Madueke off the right, Eze off the left. That's a lot of change. That is a lot of, you know, that's 3 players that are kind of unfamiliar with that role in the Arsenal team. Or you could go Eze instead of Odegaard, Madueke off the right, Martinelli off the left. I mean, I assume it'll definitely be Madueke off the right. So then it's really, do you go Nwaneri, Eze, Nwaneri, Martinelli, Eze, Martinelli? Now, I think I'd definitely go Martinelli, to be honest with you. As much as from an attacking sense, that's perhaps not as exciting, I think you know what you're going to get from Martinelli at Anfield. His record against Liverpool is phenomenal, by the way, but from the defensive perspective, from the kind of structural perspective, you know that Martinelli knows what he's doing. So then it's a case of Eze or Nwaneri. And depending on how he gets on this week, you know, he's going to have a full week of training. I may well go Eze. For what he offers, he's kind of used to playing in a team at Palace that will probably play in the way we're going to play at Anfield, which will be defensive and then looking to go out in transitions. Really, I think Eze could be the guy that is more suited to that. Again, it could also be a bit more of a double pivot of Zubimendi and Rice, and then giving Eze a little bit more freedom centrally. But I think that is what I would go for, as well, just the experience that Eze has as a you know, an experienced Premier League player at Anfield. I think that might be the option. What an opportunity that is for Eze, by the way. Imagine coming in, Arsenal debut at Anfield. But the circumstances have put us there. And look, like I said, the depth signings this summer have been crucial for us. You know, imagine last season, we don't even have to imagine it, it happened. Going into games without Odegaard, Saka, Havertz, Raheem Sterling would be starting this game. You know, so it's not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. Bit of a relief that neither of them are long-term injuries, and an opportunity for some at Anfield. Moving on, Piero Hincapie. This is, Arteta may be a sick man. He may be a sick man. He may have not only a fetish for defenders, but also for just taking players from Spurs at this point. About an hour ago, Fabrizio Romano came out and said that Spurs wanted Hincapie, that they were preparing an offer for Hincapie from Bayer Leverkusen. There would potentially be a loan with an obligation to buy him, and that obligation would be close to the €60 million release clause that he has. 45 minutes later, we get a David Ornstein bomber that Arsenal are after Piero Hincapie, subject to exits. And he said exits, plural. That may just be Jakub Kiwior. And that we will then look to negotiate a deal below the €60 million release clause. Now, look, in a sense, I understand it. From a depth perspective, if we do lose Jakub Kiwior, as your general left centre-back options, you're then left with Gabriel and Calafiori. And Calafiori, of course, does have his injury issues. If you're not willing to rely on Zinchenko this season, who may also still exit, you're also looking at a state where on that left sort of pocket of centre-back and left-back, you've only got Gabriel, Calafiori and Mars Lewis Skelly. Of course, you've got Mosquera, who could play as a left centre-back if required. but it is a bit light compared to the right-hand side where you've got Saliba, Mosquera, Timber, Ben White. I thought maybe we would go for more of an attacking fullback, a proper traditional left back, given the way that we played with Madueke with an overlapping fullback and how well that worked. But maybe Arteta generally just sees Calafiori as more of that left back. And so if you were to look at it on paper, if you were looking at 2 players per position, you'd be going into next season with White and Timber, Saliba, Mosquera, Gabriel, Hincapie, Calafiori, Miles Lewis-Skelly, which is just absurd depth. To have Gabriel, Calafiori, Hincapie as 3 left centre-back options at the same club is greedy. It's greedy. But we know what Arteta's like. It's 1 for me, 1 for you. The club gets an attacker or a midfielder, I shall have a defender. And that's what we're going with. Now, in terms of the player himself, 23 years old, he's already done 4 full seasons at centre-back for Bayer Leverkusen. This is an exceptionally talented player. He wants out. According to David Ornstein, Arsenal is his priority as well. And it would just be funny to take him from Spurs. 60 million euros, 50 million quid. Is it worth 50 million quid to laugh at Spurs again? Maybe it is. So that is that. We'll see how it progresses. I think Fabrizio said something about Kivior being closer again to Porto this morning. Frustrating. I really do think we should be getting more money from him by selling him to a Premier League club. But if he's not willing to take it, he's not willing to take it. And we'll see how this all pans out. Of course, we've got the Liverpool game coming up next weekend. Liverpool playing Newcastle United tonight. But big up watch-along. Description, big up. That's where we do the watch-alongs. We're doing a watch-along for Newcastle-Liverpool. Could be an absolute bloodbath. And of course, we will be keeping an eye on those Liverpool players ahead of the game at the weekend. But look, that's going to be the end of the video. Apologies, I look so tired. I'm actually not tired. Woke up feeling quite refreshed today. But this is where we're at. If you've enjoyed the video, please do like, please do subscribe. And I'll catch you either on the Big Up stream tonight or tomorrow. Until then, have a fantastic Bank Holiday Monday if you're in the UK. Otherwise, it's just a normal Monday. And I'll catch you all on the next one. Until then, goodbye.